today, however, we're back. We're back in this place. We're trying to stoke the embers, right? We're trying to revive your passion, remind you of why you exist, the purpose for which you live. Some of the dreams and aspirations you had that you kind of put on the back burner because life happened, and life rarely happens the way we plan it. But this guy Jeremiah, out of all of the scriptures, that we read, he has this famous line where he says, "It's like fire shut up in my bones." And I really believe that the passion, the fire that was in him is a fire and passion that's in us too. Sometimes it just takes some rekindling. And again, just kind of give credit to where it should go. Pastor Todd Smith preached a phenomenal message back in March of this year called "Fan the Flame," and he just used this phrase that I just haven't been able to shake for the months since, and it was "stoke the embers." Right? It's the rekindling of the fire, and so just kind of as a quick recap while people are still coming in. Hey, Talora, good morning. The first day we talked about drawing a circle, right? Draw a circle around who and what you are supposed to do and who you're supposed to help, what you're supposed to be. One of the things I didn't mention when we talked about drawing a circle is the fact that while you're drawing a circle around the things that you care about, hey, Miss McDonald, while you're drawing a circle around things that you should care about and you are involved in, God has also drawn a circle around you because He cares about you. So note that. Two, yesterday we talked about what did we talk about yesterday? Yesterday, we talked about having a new perspective, right? New, Knew. And the new perspective simply suggests that you must always remember, you must always consider the fact that whatever you are, whatever you're going through, whatever you're dealing with, both the ebbs and the flows, right? The highs and the lows, you must remember that God already knew. And if He knew, then He's also working something out for you that will be new. So you got to have a new perspective. Today is day 3, and day 3, I want to kind of use the same format, right? Lady Kason's format of eat, explore, apply, and think. And I want to present this case that you ought to see the smoke. Matter of fact, everybody write that on the screen. Give me an emoji or something. See the smoke. See the smoke. Whenever anybody can write it. See the smoke. See the smoke. I see a couple of hearts that went up. Write it up there so I know you got it. See the smoke. Anyone? Someone? See the smoke? You got? There we go. Thank you, Mom Dukes, Kathy. Appreciate it. Thanks, Deacon Bellamy. So here's the idea of see the smoke. That wherever there is smoke, there is a high chance that there's also been a fire, right? There either has been a fire or there is a fire. A matter of fact, many people, before they even know that there's something burning, they see smoke. Right? Unfortunately, in a person's home, you'll see the smoke before you see the fire. If you've ever been camping, you can see the smoke from a long distance before you get up close to where the fire may be. With those California wildfires, people were seeing smoke for days and for miles, and the smoke was an indication that there was some fire. So here's today's message. If you can see the smoke, then you'll also find out what your passion is. You will discover, what it is that you're supposed to do. So obvious question, right? How do you see smoke? Well, Jeremiah does this thing, and if you look at it as we kind of explore Jeremiah, one of the things that happens in the book of Jeremiah is after God says to him, I've called you, I've chosen you, I knew you before the foundation of the earth were laid. God then actually does this ritual, and I call it a ritual because Jeremiah isn't the only one who gets it. Jeremiah actually has God touch his mouth. Matter of fact, God says this. He says this to him. For those you're looking for, is Jeremiah 1, verses 7 through 16. Jeremiah 1, 7 through 16. Jeremiah 1, old school, right? Hard copy. Jeremiah 1, 7 through 16. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm going to skip through a little bit of it. It says, "But the Lord said to me, do not say I'm only a child. You must go everywhere I send you." Verse 8, "Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you." Verse 9, "Then the Lord reached out his hand and touched my mouth. He said to me, now I put my words in your mouth. I appoint you over nations and kingdoms to overthrow, to build, and to plant. The word of the Lord came to me." And here's the question, what do you see? It's really interesting because God says, I want you to speak. I want you to talk. I want you to prophesy. I want you to audibly and verbally send a message to my people. I want you to speak. But before you say anything, here's the question I have for you, Jeremiah, and all of Jeremiah's that's listening. What do you see? Like, what is it? What do you see? Kathy was already ahead of me. What do you see? Um, because there's this idea that what you see in the world, your perspective of the world, the things that are noticeable, the things that arrest your attention, oftentimes the things you see are the things that fuel your passion. Look, you may not know it, but what you see in the world isn't what everybody else sees. You know, when you walk down the street or drive in a neighborhood, when you show up to a place or venue, the things that jump out to you are not always the things that jump out to everyone else because you often see what you are passionate about. Right? You walk through the mall, and some people see the stores, right? But when you look at the stores, some people see the stores as a place they can buy. Other people see the stores as a place they should own. Some people look at the stores and they see all of the graphics because they're graphic artists, and so they see how the posters look and they see how the marketing is. They see what the coupons are like. Some people walk through the mall and they see people. Matter of fact, if you're a beautician or barber, you go through the mall, and while you're walking through the mall, you see people's hairstyles and haircuts. You see how the sew-in is right or not so right, right? You see how the line was sharp or wasn't sharp because you see things you are passionate about, right? As a pastor and really as a Christian, when I drive into cities, I see churches. Like I don't miss a church. Like I see the church. I see how it's designed. I see what's on the sign. When I go into churches, I see the programs. I look at the structure, where the pulpit is, where the media. Because I like basketball, I never go into a city and not notice where the courts are. Matter of fact, the other part of this is there are often times where I see what's not present. Whenever we vacation, I look for, okay, where's the basketball court? Where's the pool? And if those two things are missing, then this may or may not be where we're going to stay because these are things that I'm passionate about. And sometimes, again, we're talking about seeing the smoke. Sometimes when you start to identify and really chronicle what you see around and in life, you really start to really point to what your passion is. Look, Jeremiah, explore. Jeremiah is getting ready to say something. But before he says anything, God says, I want to make sure that I know what your passion is. So tell me what you see. And if you keep reading through those verses, he sees an almond tree and an almond branch. God talks about what the almond means. He sees a boiling pot. God helps him understand that the boiling pot that's turning over is, God's wrath turning over to a nation. Because God, now is asking me to ask you the same question. What do you see? Do you see poverty? Do you see broken women? Do you see men who are incarcerated and should have their rights restored? Do you see a need for fashion? Do you see that we have somehow deteriorated our economy and or just kind of what should be natural, right? You care about our atmosphere, you care about plants, maybe you care about animals. What is it that you see? Because I have a feeling that if all of us who are online right now went to a place, we would all see something different because the smoke you see points to the fire that's in you. And I want you to just kind of take a moment and really think about that. Here's our thought for today. Our thought for today comes from a couple of quotes. All right, we eat, which means we explore. So Scripture tells us that God wants him to speak, and then God asks him what he sees. The application is taking a moment to say, okay, what is it that you see? And here's the thing, you got to be confident in what you see because what you see is not what others see. Don't beat other people up for not seeing what you see. Just enjoy the smoke that you have and then go find your fire again, find your passion again. Let me kind of pause here just to say that God, if he were asked the question, if I say, hey, God, what is it that you see? What are you passionate about? God would say your name. Isn't that good? That if I say, God, what's your smoke? Like, what is it that you see? Every time, God would say your name. He would say my name. He would say your name. He would say your family member's name. Because the thing that drives God's passion is you. He cares about you. He looks out for you. He looks at you like smoke from a distance, but he also wants to get up close. And so just kind of know that as you're looking for smoke signals, God has his eyes on you. Here's what I want you to think about as we kind of close out our Devo for this time. Because we're doing the eat, right? Explore, apply, and think. And so when we talk about thinking, there's some quotes actually I want to kind of toss out. The first one is Gandhi. Is a Gandhi quote. Gandhi was an Indian activist, civil rights movement guy, peacemaker. And Gandhi has always said, be the change you want to see in the world. You've seen that before, right? And I want to ask you, as we're thinking about this, how can you be the change that you want to see in the world? That's the first quote. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Our second quote is a Dr. Martin Luther King quote. And Dr. Martin Luther King has always said, if a man has not discovered anything he will die for, then he's not fit to live, right? If a man has not discovered what he's willing to die for, then he's not fit to live. So here's a question. I don't want you to expire now, but what is it that you would die for? What is it that you would work hard for, rally behind, give your all towards? Because if you can identify that, that may be where your passion is. Here's another quote I just happened to stumble on while looking for that Martin Luther King quote to make sure I said it right. And it's by Norman Cousins. Norman Cousins is an author. And Norman Cousins says, death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside us while we live. Wow, right? I don't even know a lot about Norman Cousins, but that's something to hold on to. I'm gonna say it again so you get it. Death is not the greatest loss in life. Death is not the greatest loss in life. The greatest loss is what dies inside of us while we yet live. Wow, right? So here's the thought question. What died in you, or what's dying in you, or what right now is rotting in you because you aren't feeding it? Because you're no longer pursuing it, because you're watching others, you're angry, you're frustrated, you're disappointed because others aren't doing it as half as you would have, as well as you would have done it, but you're just letting it go. Go back and get that. And then our last quote is a Nelson Mandela quote, and I've got to look that one up. Nelson Mandela says that there is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. Here it is. There's no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that is less than the one.